Are you one of those people who are drawn to community life, to living with like-minded people in nature, in beautiful surroundings like this? If this resonates with you, then do not buy land first. In today's video, I'm going to give you three reasons why you should not buy land first, and a an approach or a model of how you can move forward with starting a community and finding your tribe. So my name is Mashida Shabazz, and I've been living in intentional communities for the last 8 years. And um, I've started a nonprofit organization, kind of like a service corps night order, dedicated to sending out mobile teams of community builders to help communities start and grow. So, um, here I am at one of the land community projects that we're here working with in Northern California. Um, and this is a really prime example of what we're going to be talking about in today's video, why you should not buy land first. And I first want to start, before we get into the 3 points, I want to start by just sharing, a quote from a Marvel movie. Um, Asgard is not a place, it's a people. And to me, this is really powerful because this hits home to what it is we're trying to do in essence when building community. When we're building community, we are working with people, we are building up a people. So yes, that would require land at some point and all those different things, 100%. Nevertheless, the real thing here is that we are talking about people. And so what must come first are the people. When you lead in a community with a people first consciousness, then you can bring the magnetism and you can attract the talent, you can attract the people you need to build the community properly, all right? So, number one, um, and I just want to say all these three reasons, I have direct experience, I'm living it, this community land project here, 52 acres of land. It was purchased by a 70-year-old gentleman who wanted to build a community, and he bought the land first and then wanted to get the people. And um, well, he tried to organize some people for a search party, but people fell away. They got the land and it just kind of ended up with being him alone. And so we're trying to essentially fix the situation of buying land first. So it's a really interesting dynamic, and um, something I definitely feel I can talk about. So number one is, when you buy land first, it creates a subtle mindset or culture that it's your community, it's your land, you're the owner, and everyone else who joins are not owners, and that you will always have a little higher decision making, a little higher leverage or influence. And this isn't inherently a problem, okay? Don't get me wrong. In fact, I believe strong leadership actually is an important quality for communities in the long run. And the most successful communities that we see today are communities that do have strong leadership. Um, so I do recognize that. The thing, though, is important is that, like, for example, the place here, the community, the land was put into a nonprofit to be the community. And still, when people talk about this place, they always talk about, like, hey, how's your project? How's your project? So even um, us being here or other people being here, it's always like, it's not our project. We're just here helping develop this. Um, and so I think that subtle shift, and it creates that sort of environment. And you really need to, if you're trying to resolve this, if you've already purchased land and you're trying to get people over, I don't want to say to your land, well, let me backtrack. So if you're in a situation, you have land, you want to build a community, you need to ask yourself, are you okay with you being the leader of the community and people coming to join your land to build this community, but nevertheless they understand that you have the highest decision making authority? Or are you interested in saying, hey, yes, I bought the land first, but no, no one should own land. This is a community thing. I want to invite people to come in. Yes, there's gonna be a filtration process, but I don't have the highest making. I don't have the highest decision making authority. We have a board. We have some sort of council, and we govern that way. Then that's totally different. Um, and that's and that approach, still, people would really need to see you making conscious efforts to and put people into positions of leadership, and to, yeah, you're always going to be watched because you bought the land. So that it's just one of those things that can never, that reality can never change. And so that's why, in the first point about being careful with that, and because the community spirit can never, in some ways, never really get off the ground, because it's always top dog. Um, and it's fine if that's, again, that's fine if that's a culture. Okay, so that's point one. So point two is, the second reason why you should not buy land first kind of ties into the first one, but I think it's slightly different in my opinion. And that is, when you buy land first, you kind of take away the first big community decision from everyone, right? Because I think when we first think about going to community, we're always thinking like, okay, well, where do I want to go? Where should we buy land? Where should we do it together? And you're kind of like, hey, I already bought the land, come here. And it feels kind of subtle. Um, yeah, I feel subtle dynamics are created in that sort of way, and you aren't here. Let me bring to you guys a business perspective example, right? Do you just sit down and just think of you think of some product without any sort of market fit, without any sort of market analysis, without any sort of research, and to say, okay, well, I'm sure people love this thing. I have done zero research, I have asked no one, and I'm just gonna put this thing together, and I'm sure everyone's gonna love it and buy it. Does that work? No, it doesn't, right? That's ridiculous. And so, in the same way, it's kind of very similar to a community, right? Especially if you don't have much experience on what good land looks like, um, or the needs of the people and whatnot, then that can definitely be a concern, right? Because here, for example, in this place in Northern California, it's quite remote, it's extremely remote, and that really initially limits the kind of people who can come here. And without ever having done like a market fit for, okay, what's the kind of people who can come here, and are we connected to those kind of people from the very beginning, or how can we get connected? Then you buy land, and kind of like this place, you have a dream to build community with people, and yet you're by yourself trying to maintain 52 acres of land in a forest, which is good luck. Um, so, so yeah, that's the other point I think is really subtle but important, is recognizing that you got to lead with people in that sense. You got to connect with people before even purchasing any land. You got to do it a totally different way. And the third point is lack of cohesion, or um, weaker buying power. So, and so this point is kind of obvious. Um, if you pull resources together with people, you have more resources, which means you can buy better land, um, or more. Yeah, you can buy better land, or you can buy the same price land, but put more money into upgrading it. Again, uh, same example here with the place we're helping to get going to start up this community here. The guy put all his money into the community, bought the land, tried to fix it up, and then ran out of money. And that's almost an even worse place, because now you have land, you have a forest to maintain. You want to build cabins, you want to develop a retreat center, you want a temple, we want all the beautiful things at a community, right, in our visions. But where's the resources? Um, but even the same project here, if went about it more slowly, more intentionally, made sure that he had other investors, other people involved, to secure initial runway for the community, be a totally different situation. And so, you know, so in this sense, the solution I really want to bring is we really need to look at community projects and land development totally different. My viewpoint has always been like we're creating colonies, like we are creating cities in that sense. And so when we're creating a city, we look at it totally differently. We are looking at like, okay, what's the first 5, 10 years gonna look like? We are really putting in that intention um because a city needs to have more or less all of our needs, right? That's why people left the country, go to the city. You had jobs, you had school, you had health, banking, financial services, etc. So for communities to truly be viable and an alternative to the system we live in today, communities must be just like cities. So that if I'm deciding, oh, my back hurts, I need some chiropractic work, do I want to go to the clinic in the city, or do I want to go to the clinic up here in the mountain with this awesome community that is supporting the local community? And to me, I would choose this spot. And so, in the same way, I think um, we for those looking at land, especially off-grid locations like these, we really need to level up our thinking, open our minds, expand what's possible, and really think big. Because I, again, this to me where it ties back into the quote I shared about, Asgard is a people, not Asgard is not a place, it's a people, because we need to shift the consciousness of developing community to a place where it is about people and about a common recognition that we're all really trying to strive for the same thing. And it's good that we're all inspired and doing our projects and being guided. But really, I think is what we really should be doing in addition to that is connecting with one another with those who share the same passion and vision, because we're all trying to create an alternative system to the way we live today. And if we're doing it in fragments, then we aren't strong. So just like on the United States flag, the bundle of arrows are together to represent when united, we stand strong. And when apart, we are weak, we can break easily. That same message, because the United States was founded from a colony system, from communities, that I think it really holds as an inspiring example to what's possible when we come together with a higher purpose, a God-given purpose to bring in these communities of the new earth of the future. And so this video resonates with you. If you are inspired by the message, I would love to hear you. If you're interested in building community or you have land, I'd love to hear your thoughts on how your project is going, or what your thoughts are in general about what I shared today's video. And please like and subscribe for more content like this. See you tomorrow. Blessings.